You build your dream career. You're going places, wearing the most expensive suits, driving the most expensive cars. You're working 16-hour days, and then bam, it's over. You're fired without warning. A corporate restructuring? Now what? You have a young family with needs. The job market has collapsed. No one is taking your calls. Your self-esteem is destroyed. Meet Bob Mathers, whose F My Life started the day he lost his job, whose Fix My Life took considerable pit stops, and whose Find My Life has led to his true passion. He loves helping others realize their goals, spending time with music and family, and connecting with people through his podcast, Growth Mixtape, which can be found on all major platforms. Corporate job loss can sometimes be just what the doctor ordered, though. And for Bob, the medicine sucked, but the results led to greater happiness. With that, I'd like to welcome Bob Mathers. Well, welcome to Founders Music Lab. We're on episode number, Steve?
Number 12.
12.
Yeah.
All right. So as you can tell, I'm with Steve again, the music guy. And I've got Ed right beside me, the coffee guy. Say something. Yo. Yeah, see, he's here. You can start breathing now. And you know me, I'm Bill. At least I hope you know me. And if you don't, I hope you get to know me. Today, we have a guest that has dedicated his life to helping others realize their goals. He's a fellow podcaster. He told me that, the best kind of guest to have is a podcaster. So I said, okay, yeah, that sounds good. His podcast is called Growth Mixtape. And he talks to leaders in business and science, academics, and the arts. We will talk about podcasting, and as we figure this out, as he's had more experience than we have, so we're going to glean some major intelligence from this dude. So this is part of free consulting. Okay, since 1999, at least that's what it's probably a lot earlier than that, but Bob Mathers has been working in the field of operational optimization. I think that's a category we can call it. He might correct me. And although Bob works with larger organizations generally, he does have considerable experience working with founders and musicians. But as I found out over the last couple of years, he's also a musician. And he's gone after that passion once again. His insights are both personal and professional, and they attest to the trials and hardships of founders face as they build their businesses, and as musicians face as they build their audiences. It's really all about the connections, and Bob is an expert in connections, I'd say. With that, I'd like to welcome Bob Mathers.
Well, thanks for having me. During that intro, I'm like, God damn, who is this person? That sounds really interesting. I'd love to hear this conversation. And then the sobering reality hits me. Oh, fuck, he's talking about me.
Yeah. Well, I just went to ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
Was it good? All right.
Who is Bob?
A little too good.
Yeah. But as we start most of these podcasts, Ed rarely knows who's coming in. So he gets to start off, and we get this thing going. So with that, Ed, take her away.
I usually like to lead in because I'm part of this little world that you came into, which is the coffee world. And I live, eat, breathe this, and have been for 23 years. So I don't know a lot of the people that are around in the community or in business. I'm just kind of laser focused on what I do. So the question is, what does a normal day in the life look like for you? First of all, you showed up on a bicycle, so that's not the usual, which is cool. So, but what is a 9 to 5, or maybe not the time slot, but a typical day? You have a podcast, you record that every day. Do you do, going to an office, that kind of thing. I get a little bit of insight into what a day looks like in your world versus mine.
Yeah. It starts off, I'm pretty regimented about the first, let's say, 3 hours of my day, because I find it's the only time of day that I have complete control over. Because once I open up my computer, who knows what's going to happen, right? So I've got a routine of drinking coffee, doing some writing in the morning for 45 minutes, doing a bunch of stretching to keep my body from falling apart, go for a run or do some biking. And that's just the way I get kind of centered before I sit down. Now, recently, I've been starting this thing that I stole from Tim Ferriss that I absolutely love, and it's his morning routine. And it's his way of it's his way of staying focused on the one thing that he needs to get done that day. So he said, get up and write down the 3 or 5 things that are making you the most uncomfortable. Because he said, those things that are making you the most uncomfortable are probably the most important. They're the things that slide from day to day because you're finding things more comfortable to do. And I'm like, God damn, that's right. I have no problem coming up with 3 or 5 things that I've kind of been putting off, and it's just I find other things to do. And then he said, so pick the one thing. Ask yourself, or actually go through each of those 5 and say, if this were the only thing I got done today, would I feel satisfied with my day? Or if I did only this one thing, would it make those other things easier later? And through that process of elimination, you come up with one thing. You dedicate 2 hours in your morning before opening your email of focused time to get that one thing done. You get it done at 11 o'clock, you open your email, and you go about your day. So that's the answer to that question is very different than even probably a month or so ago, because I've started this and I'm like, God damn, this is a really great way that by 11 o'clock, I've gotten done the one thing that no matter what happens the rest of the day, I'm like, I feel pretty good about this day. And sometimes I just don't do much of fucking anything for the rest of the day because my heart's not in it, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
And you just got something really important finished.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, which
was
very rarely happens.
Coming to this podcast?
Well, yes, except this was 5:30, and it was
at 11 o'clock. He had it figured out, and then he went for a bike ride.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm not sure that was the answer you were looking for. But the rest of my day usually looks like one-on-one calls with founders. So I work through a local incubator here. So people that are trying to find product market fit, going out and do.
And do you work from home? Do you go to the incubator?
I probably at home 90% of the time. I go to the incubator for events. Bill and I we've run into each other at a coffee shop. So I've got one client where I'm actually on site.
Was that my coffee shop?
No.
I think you're going to the wrong coffee shop.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
This just happens super convenient for
just
where
kidding.
I'm working. But really, I mean, it's a series of one-on-one meetings. It's probably not all that different than the way most people spend their days, whether they're doing it virtually from their home office or whether they're doing it from a big office building. Working with founders, trying to get clarity on their ideas, trying to get focused on what matters, just like Tim Ferriss is trying to teach me how to do.
Nice. It's interesting. My world is very locked into an office and a cafe and the supplies and the supply and demand and then the customers and the things that break. And so it's a constant rhythm of a different nature. But that's that world that you live in seems completely foreign to me. First of all, working from home. I've never worked from home ever. Not even during COVID. I didn't stay home for a day. So I don't know what that feels like. So it is strange and not strange, but it's to put yourself in someone else's shoes for that day. And you're like, wow, what a difference. So I find it amazing, which maybe most people don't, but who cares? This is about me, right?
Yeah.
This is...
But it is interesting you mention that, because I worked from home, I would say maybe 50-50 before COVID, right? And then now it's sort of 90-10, I would say. But I do talk to people, and I think it's amazing, because I'm 55, right? Like, I worked in an office shoulder to shoulder with people like we are right here today for 30 years of my career before everything changed. But it's amazing how quickly we forgot what it's like to work shoulder to shoulder with people every day. And I think about my kids who were just entering the workforce, coming out of college. And there is no way I could learn anything unless I had been in a physical space with people every day, going through the shit, asking questions. I don't know how they're going to do it. Now, fortunately, they're in the trades, so they are actually part of that economy that's still face-to-face. But I know other, like, nieces and nephews and friends that are kind of the white-collar kind of knowledge workers that are working from, they're 23 years old in their first job out of school, and they're working from home 4 days a week. I'm like, look, I'm sure you'll figure it out, but I cannot imagine how I would have learned one single thing. And I definitely wasn't disciplined either. It's like, I better be in meetings all day long, because who the hell knows what I'm going to be doing?
Yeah, no, that part of life we've talked about in other episodes, and it's the change of youth to where we were. Right. I'm 60, so I get it. We grew up face to face, talking to people, doing, making. It was all go to and interact with to get something done. Nothing came to you. I mean, this is pre-Amazon, so you need something, you go get it. You need to talk to someone, you go find them. I mean, even when phones weren't that useful, because you couldn't really dial into a conversation with someone, you had to sit down and talk to them. Well, we've forgotten that art. Now they do it through different methods, different media, different. Is it better or worse? Well, we'll say it's worse, but they'll say it's better, because just like we did with our parents.
Yeah, every generation.
And so it's a generational gap of difference. To me, it's not clear how they're going to get through it. And the weird part of all of this is I've got a 14-year-old. Yeah. So I'm on the way end of the spectrum. Like all the people that I talk to, my kids are graduating university and they're already working, they're professionals. I got a 14-year-old that doesn't know who he is yet.
Yeah, well, I'm 55 and I don't know who I am yet, so
he
has time. But I do think for the first time that I can remember, I am talking to founders that are like, I'm building a company and everybody is in the office every day. Yeah. And that's not for everybody, and we realize that, but that's the expectation we set when we go to the market.
Do they tell you why they're doing that now?
They're kind of more seasoned, should I say, like me, and they're maybe on their second or third company, so they did it the old way, the way we grew up, and now they've just done it once or twice.
They're not the young founders coming out of university. No. These guys are seasoned pros that have experience and recognize what happened when you were with people and when you were without people. Yeah. Yeah, and especially at that beginning stage.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to share and so many insights that you glean from each other. It's hard to do.
There's so much more interaction than a screen. Like, even you're talking face-to-face with someone and you're looking at their facial expression on a screen, but you can't see their hands, you can't see their body movement, you can't see their nervous tics, you can't see their perspiration, you can't see their breathing patterns. So do you really know if you're conversing or what the message is getting across? I've always learned face-to-face. Even when I was in university, I was the guy that sat in the front row and listened because I couldn't take notes. And I was also the guy that took a note and then looked up and went, oh, no. What are they talking
what did I just
about? So I gave up on the note-taking and just learned. Just pay attention.
Could you imagine if you were there today? They have these apps that will listen and transcribe all of your notes for you.
My phone does that, so I get it. But
I know, but that'd be so cool. And then you could just listen.
I don't think they do listen, though. I think the attention span capacity is the dosage of data transfer is different than what it was for us.
Well, I agree.
We need this long-term definition, expansion of information. And for some reason, they have this capacity to take snippets and digest them and actually turn it into something, which to us, there's just not enough information there. So, I don't know how they're going to make things in the future because they only know 146 characters and 6 seconds of video. How do you build a car with that knowledge? Well, I guess you have to concatenate all the 6-second bits and make sure that they're in order, right? But I don't know. I just wonder. I
think they'll figure it out.
I'm sure they will.
It's been documented that I have great concerns for the future of our kids, but I accept my age, and I may not be getting it. Steve and I were talking earlier today about what it was like in the 90s when people were getting a little more committed to the computers and having to type, and all the older guys had no idea how to type. They always had a secretary doing the typing, and then they had Word, and then they had Excel, and they had all of these tools that made the old guys pretty well useless. and they were able to turn that into major productivity. And we may find that with AI and all of the stuff that's coming out, and I keep getting hit in the back of the head saying, "Bill, stop being old." Just they'll figure it out. And what I saw today, as I was out walking my dog, was a whole bunch of kids. Because strangely, there's a PA day today. On the first day of school, and there's all these kids out on the street, and I thought, oh man, I'm finally free. Get off my lawn. But they're walking down with a baseball and gloves and bikes, and they're all going to the field. I'm like, oh God, there's hope.
Yeah,
there is hope.
There you go.
Yeah, so I think they'll
Well,
figure
I
it
saw
out.
all the other ones at the dollar store, and there was masses of them just grabbing things off the shelves, and I just need an extension cord, like a cheap one. But I was amazed by the teller.
Yeah.
I found this dude, probably, early 18, 19. He was running 3 tills at once, and he was making people fly through Dollarama like nobody's business.
Wow.
And I actually walked up to him like, hey, if you ever want a job in the real world,
Yeah.
come talk to
That
me.
guy could make some coffee, man.
Absolutely. And he's not,
That boy
he's
can
not
grind.
caffeinated right now, but he's doing 3 tills at once, and there was a line like 12 people deep. And I was amazed at the guy. Amazed.
So he's taking the jobs away from 2 other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is how it's done.
Well, because the other ones don't want to work.
No, there's that. Old man. Okay, well, let's get back to Bob here, because I want to
Yes.
know more about Bob. I want to know about Bob's early life. I want to know how you became Bob.
Yeah.
So early life, 5, 6, 7, 8. What kind of kid were you?
I was pretty shy. What's that John Cougar song? I was born in a small town. I'll probably die in the same small town. I pretty much lived in this town my whole life. And
This town being Kitchener?
yeah, and we live in a house that's 10 houses away from the house that my wife grew up in. She was born in the Philippines. She lived in Ottawa. Her dad was in the Foreign Service, but for most of her life, she lived right around the corner from where we live now. But I did. So yeah, I got a guitar for my 9th birthday. That's one of my earliest memories. My grandfather bought it for me, and there was a show on TV called The Tommy Hunter Show. And Tommy Hunter was this
Icon.
Yeah, kind of like
Yeah.
Chet
Super
Atkins.
tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like a country music variety show where he'd have people
Yep.
come on, and he was a pretty good musician, and my grandfather was a big fan, so he wanted me to learn how to play guitar like Tommy Hunter. And so I, did there was no YouTube or anything back then, so I did what all of us did. We got guitar lessons and played guitar pretty much my whole life, and bought a Fender Squier Strat. It was my first electric, and I've always had a couple of guitars. So, that really helped, I think, when I went away to school. Because high school, I don't know about you guys, it wasn't awesome. I mean, I discovered drinking, which helped, because that kind of made me funny and cool for the first time in my life. But and music did a little bit, but there were always people that knew more Neil Young songs and could play American Pie better than anybody. So
It's funny that you say that, though, because there's a lot of people that peaked in high school. The
that's
super,
true.
super popular kids were
Yeah,
the ones that were
that's
peaking
right.
in high school. And you look back and wonder where those people are, and most of them you never heard of again.
Right.
So I think it's
pays.
a phase for sure. And high school was it's touch and go, but later in life is when things got really interesting.
yeah, and
Where'd you go to school after that?
I went to McMaster.
I thought you were going to say I went to Waterloo.
No.
Yeah. Well, you got out of the small town.
I did. Yeah, I moved away.
You had choices here,
Yeah, I know. I was just having this conversation with someone today, actually, because I was the first one in my family to really go away to school. And it's like my parents' number one job in raising me was to raise somebody that went away or went to university, because...
Or did they just say you because they couldn't stand you anymore and they
Yeah,
needed
that
you
might
out of
have been
there?
that.
Huh? Yeah, well.
But it was never...
Finally, we got rid of that guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Can he tune the damn thing?
Yeah. Can't play, what's that Boston song?
Stairway to Heaven?
Oh, yeah. It was just
no.
like over and over again. It wasn't Smoke in the Water, but it was, but
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, but I think there was never a moment where I remember talking to my parents about whether I would go to school. It was just like, that's what you're doing. That's That's why we worked so hard.
Did you find that was helpful?
I did. I didn't like high school, and I went away to reinvent myself.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So all new influences.
Yeah. I don't have any friends from high school. I had a few that sort of lingered for a couple of years, but all of my best friends I met at school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And to this day.
Yep.
Nice.
What'd you take at McMaster?
Economics.
You know they have it at Waterloo, right?
Yeah, well, it started as a business degree.
I
went a little hard on the getting away from home, and didn't quite make it into second year in business, but then I turned it into an economics degree.
Nice. And you graduated from there, and...
Yeah, well, it was interesting. So Mac had a program. It was a 3-year economics degree, and you could get another bachelor's of arts in 1 year.
Oh, okay.
And I really liked psychology because I loved the marriage of psychology and economics, and the psychology of how people make decisions.
I did the same thing. I had my degrees in psychology, and then I went business at Laurier, and the same thing drove me too. It was like that, and everybody was saying, "Why?
I know.
They're not connected." Oh, yes, they are.
It was the most interesting thing to me.
Yeah,
and it still is.
Yeah.
But in between there, I was working for my dad. He had a business just around the corner from here, actually, office refurbishing. And so we would, if you needed, if you had, the old cubicles and all that stuff, well, if you could come in and buy a whole bunch of new stuff, or you could bring in my dad's company and we would repaint and refabric the panels and everything. And so it's basically like moving shit in and out, painting, that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was in the process of going back for my psych degree, which I was really excited about, but he got sick. And I was working for him over the summer. And it turns out he was diagnosed with cancer, and they gave him 6 months. And I'm like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't go back to school. I should probably stay here. I've learned enough of business school to keep this business running, and maybe he can beat it. He's going to go through a bunch of chemo, and maybe he can make it through this. So I'm going to stay here and see if we can, make this work. And it didn't work out. 6 weeks later, he passed away.
Oh, my God.
And so I'm 23 years old, and I'm running this business, and I'm obviously mourning my dad. I don't really know fuck all about about running a business. So anyway, we negotiated the sale of that, and then said I got to get out of town. So moved to Ottawa with some buddies, and we were going to open a bed and breakfast, like 3 alcoholic, like partier, like just frat boys going to go and move to the market in Ottawa and try to open up a bed and breakfast.
Nice.
And surprise, surprise, the financing fell through because none of our parents wanted to sign a freaking mortgage for this freaking $300,000 house back in 1994.
But it was a good idea.
But I said, fuck it, I'm moving anyway. And I went there, and that's where back then Ottawa had a pretty good tech scene, and that's how I got started in kind of tech. I started at a call center for Corel, which bought WordPerfect.
Yeah.
And it was, Corel was the first place I had an email because I think I started there and I didn't have email. And then, hey, everybody, you get your own email address. And we would send emails, and we would, oh, my God, you can change the fonts, and you can change. And every email had like a red subject line and bold and spacing. It's like, holy fuck, nobody can even read this, right? Like, it was just,
I remember those days. I started with NCR, and same thing. It was early days. An email? How do you use that?
Oh, yeah. Just sending stupid shit around to each other and answering customers. Yeah, we get faxes from people. God, I remember, because I ended up in sort of like the customer-facing, customer service world. I remember there was this one person that called in for I wasn't tech support. We were just sort of the triage where, you got a technical problem, you go over here, feature requests, you want to go over here. We were basically just kind of babysitters and trying to keep people happy and doing a little how-to and stuff. And there was this one guy, now that I think about it, he was probably my age. Seemed like old as the sea back when I was talking to him when I was 25. But he would call in, I swear he would call, and it was always my shift. He would call in like a couple times a week and just bitch about this and bitch about that. And I do my best to help him. I haven't thought about this story in years. And I get this call from reception one day. And, hey, some guy named Ed is here to see you. I'm like, sorry, I don't know any Ed. We're like, well, he swears that
he's been talking to you for years.
Yeah, he swears that he knows. I'm like, you mean Ed, Gronkowski or whatever? Yeah, Ed. I'm like, holy shit. So I go down, and this guy drove in his RV to Corel headquarters in Ottawa. He was from the States. He was on some sort of cross-country road trip, but he made a detour to come in and talk to me. I'm like, okay, man, you win. I gave this guy sweatshirts. I gave him every CD, every upgrade, every Corel Draw, every piece of software we owned. I'm like, you win, man. You get it all. You're going to drive all this way. You got it.
To see me.
There's some, good lessons in there about customer service somewhere.
Yeah. Is he still using it? That's the question.
Yeah. I don't know. He's probably 6 feet under by now.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you're at Corel.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
2 or maybe 3 years. It's back. I mean, it's funny. We considered it high tech, but it was retail software. It was like CDs. Like we were shipping people CDs in the mail. You'd put them in.
But you're shipping it to people who know nothing about computers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's early days. That is high tech.
It was high tech.
Yeah, I was a user. I was a Corel Draw user.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dude, remember when CDs came out and you had you get this disc? Wow, it's not a floppy.
Yeah.
And what do I do with it? And then you hit the button and the tray would open. And you're like, I put it in there, and the lights read
that
it.
holds my coffee cup.
Yeah, that's right. But that was also the first time I got promoted into like a leadership position. Like I went from being on the customer service team, and then I became a project manager in a different group, and then I became a team lead, and I had 4 or 5 people under me, right? And I was 26. It was just, I look back on that, it's like, I never had I didn't know a good manager. I didn't know a bad manager. I just had managers that were friends and that we'd go out and drink and, we would have fun with, but I didn't know what a leader was.
Was that the nature of the tech world then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they really didn't know what they were doing.
Nobody knew what they were doing.
And you're surfing the beginning of really tech. I mean, from a consumer perspective.
Yeah.
So your early days, and you're experiencing things just as everybody else is experiencing things.
Was Corel Canadian? Local?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Founded in Ottawa. Yeah.
And then they get bought out by someone? Adobe?
That's a good question. I think they still exist, but
they're
a shell of a company. They bought WordPerfect from WordPerfect. Remember, there actually used to be a war between Word and WordPerfect.
Absolutely.
And then Microsoft got the OEM deals with basically every manufacturer on the planet and gave the software away for free, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just a bit of a tangent on that. WordPerfect was, in most ways, a superior product. So it's a really interesting kind of case study in it's not about how good your product is. If you can get your product out into the hands of people and change the way they work, you've got them.
You own them.
Yeah. And,
do you
and
remember
there's never
OS
been a
Warp?
word processor since.
Do you remember OS Warp?
OS
It was
Warp.
OS Warp was
Operating
an
system.
operating system right when Microsoft was coming out. Same thing. OS Warp was a superior product. It was kind of like a hybrid of like, I don't know, Unix and Microsoft, and it was really powerful, but it was just too techy. And
You can see it happening in today's battle of AI. Like, they're all trying to get it in everybody's hands for free. You know what's going to happen. Yeah. We've seen this game played out. We know exactly, but we use it and have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where it ends. The robots win.
Yeah. So you're riding this wave of tech, and then that ends at Corel on your terms or on?
No, on my terms, because I guess a part of the story I left out, when my dad had died, my now wife, my girlfriend, we were going out. But when that whole thing happened, I'm just like, I need to get out of here. We broke up. I moved to Ottawa. We got back. I went crawling back to her a couple of years later. And so we did the long distance thing. That was back when you could fly like $69 on Royal Air from Ottawa, and pre 9/11, of course. So you just show up 20 minutes before a flight. It's like getting on a bus, flying back and forth. It was great. And that worked for a while. But we got engaged, and I would have loved to convince her to move to Ottawa. But she didn't. She wouldn't have any of it. So we moved back here, and that's how I ended up back here. And I didn't have a job. So I started in management consulting. So that's how I went from tech to management consulting for about a dozen years and then back into tech.
Okay. The management consulting was, what's the name of the company?
Well, it was a company called Compass. And it was founded by this Swedish billionaire. He was the second largest landowner in Sweden next to the royal family. And he invented some sort of token ring technology while he worked for IBM and managed somehow to hang on to the patent, even though he was working at IBM.
Interesting.
I really hope the average age of your listeners is like 65 because they're not going to know anything about any of this shit that we're talking about.
Is he talking about Tolkien and the he's talking about Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings.
Tolkien, you're saying it wrong.
But it was a really cool because I don't think it was a passion project of his. And we would go into, like, Air Canada was one of the big clients that I worked with. And they outsourced their IT infrastructure, their network, their, what we call client server, like their PC hardware, their data farms, everything, to IBM. And they needed to renegotiate this contract that was hundreds of millions of dollars, and they needed people to bring in and figure out what's a fair market price for this, etc. So I did that for a dozen years, and that's really where I learned how to.
That's a lot of exposure. So hold on, and a lot of examples and experiences.
Clients
Compass got hired by Air Canada to do evaluation of the terms of their contracts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Exactly. That's one of the things that we did, and I worked with a lot of big companies, learning how to navigate through the labyrinth of decision makers and figure out that the things that CFO cares about aren't the same things that the CMO cares about, their CEO cares about, and just that was my first exposure to all that.
Wow.
And I really loved it.
And that was out of Kitchener?
No, it was out of Mississauga.
Oh, so
they
you're
had
driving
offices in 26.
Okay. Yeah.
It was cool. It was like 250 consultants around the world, but in 26 different countries. So there were probably a dozen of us in Toronto. And I would drive to Mississauga from my house every day, and I could make it there in 40 minutes back in the day. Right?
Try it now.
Yeah. In 40 minutes, I get to, Highway 6.
Yeah.
But I really loved it, and I was good at it, and I moved my way up, from just somebody that didn't know shit about anything to like a principal consultant, like kind of the highest, and then moved into sales, etc. But that's really where I think I learned how to connect with people and how to listen, because you got to understand, I'm 30 years old. I'm going into these people that have been run a data center and running mainframes and mid-range boxes and Unix systems. I don't even know what the fuck these guys are talking about.
Right.
I'm supposed to go in and be telling them, try to offer some insights. So I just keep them talking. Like, tell me about that. How do you feel about that? When was the last time that worked well? What happened? And it's just got through the art of trying to figure out how to get through a conversation and get the other person talking, and learned that most of the time people know the answers. They just don't have a way of working through them. What a
lesson, though. What a lesson for you, but what a lesson for the young kids out there.
Yeah.
No, the lesson is he should have started the podcast then.
Yeah, right. I don't even.
That's what you're doing now.
Yeah, really.
You could have been an innovator.
Kidding. I would be Mark Maron or Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mark is
you got the height for it.
Yeah, crazy, eh?
Yeah.
So you're learning all this there, and then decide you leave?
Yeah, because then kids come, right?
Right.
I'm flying around a lot. I remember walking past some chrome mirrored building in downtown Toronto on Bay Street. I've got my suit on, my $1,000 suit on, and my leather briefcase with the combination lock. And,
and your initials on it.
Yeah. And and I just catch a glimpse of myself. I'm like, God damn, I made it. Like, I feel like I'm, really doing something here. But I was just traveling too much, and we were having kids, and that had to change. So KW had a great kind of tech scene starting up, and so I decided to come back and give it a shot there. Took a massive pay cut. It turns out these tech companies don't actually have any fucking money.
No, they don't. And when they do...
Doesn't matter how good you are.
And when they do...
They leave.
They leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
So you went to KPMG then?
Well, yeah. So KPMG was, I was only there for, so that was how I got back into town. KPMG had a regional regional development director function, kind of the salesperson for these regional offices, right? And so you'd go out and meet people and trying to sell businesses on the audit stuff and the management consulting stuff and the tax preparation stuff, all the shit that nobody wants to pay a cent for.
No, especially here.
Right. But I got there, and 2.5 months in, they eliminated that position across all of their offices across Canada, except for like the major urban centers. So there was still one in Calgary and Vancouver and Toronto, but none of the ones, London, they all got eliminated. So I was. So
you've got a young family.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Probably, 2000. I was probably 30.
30?
Yeah. Like I just remember sitting. I don't know if you guys have had this happen. I've been fired twice, laid off, fired, whatever. And I remember something really weird going on, right? Like there was some meeting I was supposed to attend, and I said, well, I remember I'm like, I've got this client call, like it's a sales call. It's a real business opportunity here. So I remember emailing my boss and saying, you know what, I can't make it. How about I catch up with you after? And this is a really important call. And she's like, no, you have to cancel it. You have to come to this meeting.
Spidey
and I'm
senses.
like, that's interesting. I had let people go before, but I had never had it happen to me. So anyway, I remember, and she comes in and gives me the spiel about why this has to happen, and then leaves, and HR is there to give me some package, and they're reading through it, and I'm just ready to frickin' lose my shit, right?
Is this the beginning of your FML?
Out of here. Yeah.
Is this the beginning of your fuck my life?
Yeah, it's just like, get me out of here before I frickin'
you've
throw
got
a chair
kids,
through
you've
a
got
window.
young kids.
Yeah. And I remember sitting in the car. I had a BlackBerry at the time, and I think I was supposed to leave it behind, and I just took it. So I was in my car, sitting in my car, right in the parking lot. Like, I guess my wife, she's a teacher, so she would have been in class. I don't know. Or maybe she was at home with one of the kids, actually. She probably was. She probably wasn't back to work yet. Emailing my wife, just like, I just got laid off. Just like, I was angry and scared, and I just felt so alone. Like, it was just, I talk to people about that all the time. And I talk about the second time it happened to me, but it's just like, if you're in tech, it's not a matter. I wasn't in tech then, but it's not a matter of if. Like, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen. Definitely. And it's a core competency you need to build to rebound from that.
Yeah.
If you want to work in tech for 30 years, it's going to happen to you a half a dozen times.
It really helps guide you to reevaluate who you are, what you are, where you're going, why you're doing this shit. So at that time, what sort of conclusions did you come up with?
Well, I was fortunate. They gave me a pretty decent package, so I did have kind of a summer off. I mean, I only worked there 2.5 months, and they paid me for 6 months or something. So
nice.
It felt pretty good, but it's amazing how quickly that 6 months goes by. I was like, holy shit, I'm out of money.
We have a few listeners here that are going through that right now.
Yeah.
That how they're actually a little older, but they're thinking, well, what am I going to do now? Yeah. And they're running out of their cash, and they're running out of options and things like that. Yeah,
I guess one of the things that I'd love to tell you that I had this epiphany and I'm going to go do something that I love with my life. That never happened. I was just like, shit, you got to
hurry up and make money.
I got to make $100,000 somehow, at some kind of job, right? But it did teach me that, like, there is no guarantee. Like, it doesn't matter what you think of the company and how promising things look and what kind of great relationships you build. It's hard to say, but you are a piece of a machine. Yeah. And when your time is up, your time is up. And good people get fired every day. Shitty people keep their jobs when good people get laid off. And that's one of the hardest things, is how unfair it is. But it's something that I had to come to terms with pretty early.
How did you come to terms with it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I did talk to a lot of people, and one of the good things that happened is, even at the 2.5 months I was at KPMG, because that's where you and I met for the first time. Yeah. I was in a sales role, so my job was to just go out and talk to as many people. So I had probably talked to 50 people, and I really leaned on those people. I went to Communitech. I was at the incubators. Like I still went to events and the Angel, networking.
I think that's the key.
Yeah,
you have to find a community.
Well, unless you're in the wrong place. Because I mean, I listen to your story and I parallel it. I worked for a corporation. We got sold. We were told up to 365 days they had a decision-making capability, and on the 364th day they laid down the law and we were out.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, in my case, or fortunately, my boss was an idiot, and he worked in the States and thought he could put me out to pasture with U.S. law on a 2-week notice. And I'm like, dude, we live in a different country. We have laws. You have to follow protocol. So we ended up suing them. And same thing, you get a little bit of a nest egg. I went to work at a golf course. I was the night waterer for a summer, and my handicap was the lowest handicap I ever got down to 10. I played 96 rounds that year. Never been there since.
No, I've watched him golf.
Yeah, right. It's not pretty.
He's got to golf in the dark.
But I did.
It's hard to keep score.
I had a Q beam and lots of animals. But what was I going to say? No, that for me, I did have that epiphany moment, and it was coffee. And I found something that was artistic, that was more in my nature, and it went against everything. I didn't have the money.
But you didn't have kids then.
No, it was pre-kid.
Yeah. Right. So I think it's a different world when...
absolutely, you got to feed them. But also my wife had a really good paying job, and she worked in tech in in the Darlings, so she was making good coin. So we had that ability to negotiate where, all right, I'm going to start my dream. And, on the other side of that dream, it took 23 years to get to breathe. Where, for the first 10, it was, if she walked out the door, we were done. Yeah. I was done, and life was over. So... I got to thank her to that we made it through those early years until you can actually learn what business is and how to run one. But when you didn't have that training, I came from the corporate world. You're a yes man, and I was a problem solver. I did Six Sigma and those fun things. So the other side of a corporation, more on the operations side, but still that horror of it's over, and then getting those building your resumes and trying to get out there. And the last few months, I worked in a basement. I was work from home before it existed, and it was not pretty.
Yeah, that would have been bad. Yeah.
It was really bad, and you're stuck in a basement, and then you become a hermit, and then you don't want to talk to people at all. And I didn't know anybody in the community because I didn't work with anybody locally. So all those things, and my salvation was people in the end.
Yeah, but community.
It was going out to in this coffee thing. It's not about coffee. It's about people.
Right.
And about interaction. So we were at the market every weekend. You get to see all these people. So it's the same, but once again, different story. Yeah. Tech was the common thread that kind of axes that piece of your life in half when it happens.
But I get asked regularly after people. Funny, I become their friend after they lose their jobs.
I'm going to go talk to Bill. He's been fired more than anybody I know.
How many jobs has that bugger had? He should be good at this.
What a friend always said to me when you lose your job to congratulate the person. And some people take it really bad, but in the end, it is one door closing and another one has to open.
It is.
So if you can convince people that opening that door is going to be okay, then there's some insight into the future versus the loss. Because we're mad at the beginning, and you're angry, and you're sad, and you feel like you've been like part of your innards were cut out because you had done everything in your power to
it's your 5 stages
this
of
giant
grief.
thing go, and then all of a sudden they're like, nah, we don't need you anymore.
You're angry, you fight it at the beginning, you're mad as hell.
And it's not linear because you can come through and like, okay, I feel, it's been a couple months, I've gotten through acceptance, okay, and then a couple days later, you're like fucking angry as hell again. It's like, no, I'm back in stage 3 again.
Yeah. And 10 years later, you remember that day and that fucking asshole.
There's still times, man.
Yeah.
I look back like, God, I ever see that guy?
Yep. Look out! It's hard to let go. Yeah. So you lose that job, you have a family, and you're going through the angry part. How'd you pick yourself up? You found the community?
Yeah.
You started hanging out at Communitech and some of these other places, reaching out to as many people as you can. Was there an aha moment where you said, I need, or did you just get a job?
It It was, I think, a job, honestly, that I didn't want originally. I had a connection at a well-known tech company here at D2L, and I was like, yeah, okay, maybe, it's just, I don't know, it seems a little early, I'm going to see. It just didn't really feel that right.
Yeah.
But after 5 or 6 months, I went back and said, yeah, let's talk about that. And that's the job that I eventually ended up taking at D2L, and I was there for 3 or 4 years and really enjoyed it a lot and learned a lot.
What time span was that?
Oh man, you'd have to look at LinkedIn, honestly.
2004, 5, 6,
yeah, that sounds
7.
about right.
Yeah, because we were...
Were you in the new building yet?
No, we were at the tannery.
So that was... Well, no, the original building was the tower.
Okay.
The original building was 72, Victoria.
Yeah, because I started the coffee service
that's
contract when they were in that building, and then we kept it through the life of the tannery.
And we were going to split the unit that they had rented. Our business was going to have the other half.
On what floor? In the tannery?
No, at 72.
Oh, at 72.
At 72. And we were going to take half of it, but it ended up they were going to make us pay 3/4 of it. It's like, no, dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, they were smart fellers.
Yeah.
Fart smellers. Smart fellers. We didn't actually end up doing that. Maybe we should have, because they ended up, John Baker and his team did quite well with it.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's a great company. So you left that one then?
Well, I was there.
Or is that your?
No, that was. I left there. I was the director. I was a director when I left there. I had a pretty large team, some just amazing people there. Still good friends with a lot of people that I met there. And then I went because I got kind of recruited away for another tech company called Igloo to be their director, and then I was their vice president of customer success. And yeah, that's the other place that I got asked from.
Yeah. You also did time at Power Noodle?
Yes, was that after Igloo? Well, I know it was after Igloo.
I just know that. I know the gal who created it.
Yeah, Deb. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she is. She's an ex-IBMer, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, very smart.
Super smart.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Her sister was my prom date, grade 12.
Really?
Yeah, my current wife, my only wife. yeah, and the one I hope to keep for a long time. Please, honey. Please, honey.
Nice.
It was her best friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, we're connected. There's so many different ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've been playing around the tech world, different jobs, different. You've seen a lot of things in this area. You've recognized the necessity to be very adaptable, and not to count on anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's probably the biggest lesson that you learn in this community, anyways. So you're on your own now.
Yeah,
you're consulting. You're your own boss to some extent. You're never really your own boss,
right.
but it's a matter of catch and kill, and eat and survive, and how's that going?
Well, now I'm really enjoying it. I started my business back in 2017. That was shortly after I left Igloo, and I did what virtually everyone does when they get shit canned. It's like, I'm going to be a consultant. I'm going to find some friends and pick up some contracts, and I did. And the benefit that I had was, remember, I was a management consultant for like 14 years. I knew
so you knew the grind,
I knew the
you
business,
knew how to work it.
I knew how to write a contract and do some of that basic stuff. And a lot of people getting into consulting for the first time don't kind of have that background.
Right.
So I think I had a bit of a leg up, and I had some success, but I was probably scraping together like 30 grand a year. Right.
Yeah,
and I got 2 kids at home, and I don't really have a pipeline, and I'm like, I don't think this is going to work.
Right.
So I had to swallow my pride. And that's when I went to Power Noodle. And that was hard for me because Deb is awesome and the product had lots of potential. But I mean, I went from being a VP with 40 people under me, making more money than I'd ever made in my life, to working as the only customer facing salesperson. Like I had customers calling me on weekends for support calls. I was doing training, things that I used to have teams
things
of
that
people
founders
to
do.
Yeah. And that was humbling. And yes, like you talked about, these things that when one door opens, when one door closes, another opens, just like getting let go. Like these things, it was absolutely one of the best things to happen to me, but it was impossible to see when I was at the time. Like I didn't talk about my job. Most people didn't know what I did. Like I just didn't want to talk about it. I was embarrassed that I
can tell you as a founder and multiple founder, trying to explain what you do on a regular day is it's impossible. My parents, my family are teachers and engineers. They go in and they do their jobs and leave, and they don't get the founder mentality or the founder experience.
It's the family member that has a 9-to-5 job that sees you and goes, "Hey, how's the coffee business doing?" And it's like, how do I ever explain this? My answer is always, "It's great." And leave it at that. And if they want to expand on any specific...
They could never get the perspective.
No, there's way too much. And there's way too much misery, and there's way too much humility, and there's way too much misunderstanding and lack of knowledge. And then, things happen because they happen. And there's an ebb and flow to life. And, God forbid for people, COVID was terrible across the board for many.
Yeah, for anything.
Well, I found a crack in life that it was actually great for my business.
Yeah.
Go figure. But
as a founder,
and people
you
say,
start looking at life a little differently, and you find that FML moment is something that you can react to positively.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you do it faster as you go through it more and more. You learn how to do it faster.
Yeah,
I think it hardens you in not being too sensitive to the ebb and flow of the ups and downs, and so you can
takes the fear out of it.
It takes the fear out, right? Exactly. Yeah. But there's the challenge, obviously, of the new thing. Yep. Always there's a new thing, and so there's an excitement, there's a challenge, most of the time it comes with misery too. If you can learn to manage those emotions through it, you can look forward and find the next door to open, because there's always going to be closing and open. There's a TV show where they get lost in this time traveling tunnel and they go through these doors, and it reminds me a lot of life, because you just never know when you open that door that day what's going to be on the other side of it.
Oh, right.
And you have to be open to to embrace whatever that is.
Whatever shit's flying in your face.
Exactly. And I mean, I, as a business owner that is a small business, for me, the perspective things are different. So like, for someone like you, you could have this giant meeting and there's a big event and you have 50 people that are important attending plus another 200 that are just there to milk your drinks. And then, on the other side of it, it could be the espresso machine wand is not piping steam. It's just as important. Mm-hmm. So to the founder, so there's this order of magnitude, but it definitely educates you in accepting the ebb and flow of it.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that anymore.
No, that's interesting though. You mentioned teachers, and my wife just retired from teaching last year, and I will say it's interesting because...
Let me ask you, before you go any further, did you say, "Damn, I wish I'd become a teacher"?
I've said that many times. Yeah. But I will say the shit that they've dealt with in the last, like, school doesn't look like school that we remember it, right? They're more a prison guard than they are a teacher. And I
did 2 days in a school thinking I wanted to become a teacher, and it was hell.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. For 10 minutes.
These people are truly. I shouldn't minimize their.
We had a teacher and a musician. He's a professional musician. I think one of the
Tim Moore.
Yeah, and I asked him, I'm like, what's harder, going out in an audience of 1,000 or facing those 30 children every day? And he was like, the children are way harder. I cannot imagine.
No, I know.
30 people that want to annihilate your being every single day.
They don't want to be there. No. They're just, man, I don't know.
No, so God bless them. If you're into gods and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, teachers they deserve a lot of credit.
They sure do. So you, so you're going through this learning process of being your own little founder, trying to find your niche, your differentiation, realizing that it's not that rewarding financially. How did you get through all that?
Well, the interesting thing, and it's funny how things work out. Power Noodle didn't survive. Kind of the pandemic was the final nail, right?
Yeah.
And Cool Software, just it's just timing. It's just
Yep, it really is timing.
yeah.
Yep.
And so we went from, I was a full-time employee, and then we went from kind of 4 days a week to 3 days a week, at which point you become basically a contractor, which is kind of what I wanted, right? So then I had this client in Power Noodle that I worked with 2 or 3 days a week, and then that gave me the capacity to go out and find new clients.
Other ones.
And but I also had a bit of security there with a pretty good anchor, who kind of pay the bills. So that's when I started working more with the incubators, because I would go around and talk to CEOs about the importance of customer success and focusing on customers. And honestly, everybody just wanted to talk about new sales. They would just want to chase big logos and because that's what the investors cared about. And
but they don't realize you need the marketing and customers to get the sales.
Yeah, I know.
This is the thing I always fought. I was overtly vocal about my disdain for that.
Right.
And I made a lot of enemies, and I don't care. Because truth is truth. Yeah, thanks, buddy. That's why nobody returns my calls. But truth is truth. If you don't understand your customers, if you aren't committed to delivering for your customers, listening to your customers, and that's when the sales comes in afterwards. And you know how to talk. If you have that relationship and you understand your customers, then you can tell your salespeople who these customers are, and they can learn how to talk to these customers. That's where the sales come. But these organizations, they stressed sales programs. They didn't stress marketing. They had a marketing guy from 1956 who'd come in and advise you. And God love him, he was a great guy, but he didn't understand digital marketing. He didn't understand product development. He didn't but it didn't matter. And what really, and that's the thing that got me. And then it became a hype machine of, well, we're now dealing with digital media. Now we're dealing with mechatronics. Now we're dealing with, and it just lacked that commitment to really understanding who the customer is. And our thing with founders is, dude, if you gotta fucking understand and appreciate and love your customers. And that's why one of the reasons I wanted to bring you in is because that's what you talk about all the time. That is your thing. And for musicians, if you're just writing for yourself, okay, great. Go into a basement and have at her. But if you think you're going to be successful, you have to understand audiences. And you have to understand how to perform. You have to understand all those things. That's why we put founders and musicians together. It's the audience. It's the customers. So, yeah, talk to me about that side of it, how you work with customers and coming to terms with those things. And
yeah, it's interesting. I never really talked or thought much about how the music side would converge with talking with founders very often. But during the pandemic, when I was spending 50 hours a week in my attic office on camera for the first time, I realized how blank my walls were behind me. And so I thought, God, I need something to talk about. I need something a little bit more interesting behind me. So I hung up my 2 guitars. I've got an old 70s Telly and just a shitty campfire beater acoustic that I've been playing forever. And it's amazing the conversations that started, because we're all at home and it's weird and we just we don't really have much to relate to. It's these weird conversations we're trying to have.
And the bookshelf with all the books behind you, that doesn't quite cut it.
No, exactly.
We all have books, Bill.
Right.
Yeah. What? Mine are all coloring.
But it's amazing how it the conversations that it sparked.
Yeah.
Right? And then we talk about whether people are musicians, and we talk about kind of creativity and how that feeds into being a founder and how to build creativity into the different things that we do every day. And it just was a really interesting way to kind of set myself apart and have different kinds of conversations than these founders were used to having.
Nice. So you're talking from your perspective, your authentic self perspective. There's a lot of resonance that happens as a result of that connection, being truthful about who you are to those who don't know you yet. It helps develop that trust circle, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're dealing with customers now. Who are these customers? Who?
I deal with large scale manufacturers that are realizing that, they're not as close. They don't understand their customers as much as they used to. But I also deal with a lot of founders, and I also deal with a lot of leaders in scaling tech companies. So you might be a VP of sales or a chief revenue officer or director of customer success, and you're kind of stuck, right? You're just the things that were working before aren't really working anymore, and you don't feel like you're invited into the same conversations you used to. And I was like, when I'm talking to these people, I'm like, I know exactly how you feel. Like I could feel that shift happening a few different times in my career. So I just found that, and maybe it's age, where I really don't give a shit as much as I used to of what people think, because I talk I'm pretty openly about some painful experiences on LinkedIn, and like when the first time I talked about getting fired on LinkedIn, it's like, who's going to hire somebody
that talks about getting fired?
Who's going to pay them $500 an hour for somebody who was fired? Like, how good could you be? And you could get really caught up in all this imposter bullshit around what people are going to think, and then you just think, who gives a shit? Like, this is me. And it turns
if they do give a shit, then I don't want to be working with them.
Well, and they're probably not my clients anyway, right? And by the way, if they've been in tech, it's happened to them anyway.
Yeah.
Or it's happened to their spouse, or it's happened to their good friends, and they know it's probably in the mail. So it's really this authenticity and not giving a shit. And believe me, I'm not all the way there. I still care way too much about what strangers on the internet think about me than I should.
Yeah.
But it's really just given rise to, I get DMs and I have conversations and I get clients that I never would have gotten. Because honestly, if I'm out there talking about the same customer retention stuff
that everybody else is talking about,
there's a million of me out there.
Yeah.
There's just the only thing you've got to set yourself apart is those experiences.
It's
you being authentic.
Be authentic.
And if people don't like it, that's fine. You don't need a million customers. The whole idea you need 1,000 true fans, and you need 50 good customers over the next 10 years, and that's all you need.
Yeah, everybody, we have this community where you have to be a unicorn.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't. Just try shoot a little smaller, get to know your people. Enjoy the ride. You don't have to pander to somebody else's goals. That's that whole. I think we're on the verge of the next evolution in business development is and will be around authenticity, because I think people are distrusting what's coming out through AI. They're distrusting what's coming out through the internet. The positions that a lot of these politicians take, they've come to realize who they are, what they are, and they're looking for real, authentic relationships. And again, using this as an opportunity to push what we're developing, but our Founders Music Lab is about hopefully at some point developing an ecosystem where we can authentically meet and play together. For the purposes of building each other up. And it just happens to be around businesses and music. Get that plug in there.
Yeah.
But let's get another plug in here. Let's talk about your podcast, because you've been doing it for 2 years. It's the mixtape?
The Growth Mixtape.
The Growth Mixtape. And we had an interesting conversation. We cut you off because we want you to talk about it now. And it's almost the same experience that we've been going through, is trying to figure out what the fuck we're doing. And you were telling us about your experience with the podcasts and your journey with the podcast. So tell us about that, if you could.
Well, I guess it's interesting. I guess the genesis of it started when I got sober about a little over 3 years ago. And that's significant because I really loved a giver on weekends.
Right.
And I started when I was 17. I quit when I was 52. And you can do the math. I don't know how many weekends that is.
A couple.
But I can count on one hand.
Didn't I tell you I came from the art side?
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I quit, I just found that like something cracked open. Like I felt like I felt this sense of urgency to do something with the last 5 or 10 years of that I had left, and I didn't know what it was, but I was like, I don't know. I just feel really restless. And I was talking to a friend of mine. She's a mentor. She's a successful startup and founder. And she said, you should do a podcast. You're great at conversations. And I was like, yeah, shit. I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up watching WKRP, and who doesn't want to be on the radio? Yeah. How much fun is this? This is awesome.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So I said, yeah, shit, I should do that. But then, of course, I start thinking about, like, what am I going to talk about? What do I have to say that hasn't been said? What am I going to say that anybody's going to care about? And if it were, if I was still drinking and running my life the way I had normally done it, it would have ended there. I would have just agonized over what it should be about, and I don't have anything interesting to say, and I would have talked myself out of it or got distracted by something else. But I thought, maybe if I do the opposite, what if I just start finding interesting people and having interesting conversations, and what the podcast is about will reveal itself over time. If I just stay authentically curious and try not to be like delivering something or focusing too much on my audience, just be completely selfish about the things I'm curious about and find interesting people to talk to. And so that's what I did.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called the Growth Mixtape, because it's a bunch of conversations that really don't seem to have much to do with one another, but you kind of put them together in there.
See, I would have assumed right off the bat that it had to do with growth and revenues or...
Yeah, I know. The name isn't awesome. I've been thinking about changing it. It's funny, like that name, I don't even know where it came up with. I probably spent 10 minutes.
It's personal growth. I mean, you were probably going through your personal growth of trying to, I want to know what other people do. And
well, for starters, we don't use tapes anymore.
Yes. And also, if you go into Spotify and search on mixtape, you're going to get a trillion playlists. You're not going to get a podcast.
No.
So I think might be some massaging and branding around that.
There's lessons here for all you podcasters out there.
Spend more than 10 seconds on the name.
GMT. You can just shorten it.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to change any of the logo. Just GMT and then...
GMT. Yeah, sort of like FML.
FML. GMT.
That's not a bad idea.
And then figure out what GMT stands for.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the alternative version, right?
Yeah. I like that.
That's right. FML.
FML, yes.
Yeah.
But you talked earlier about, one of the things that I've sort of stumbled on, and I think we talked about it either before we started pressing record or earlier in this conversation, was like I'm talking to people that are like big deals. Like they're giants of their industry. The Venn diagrams of our lives have never crossed over because I don't know anything about an ad executive in Manhattan. But, she's a big deal. But I talk to these people and, athletes and speakers and authors, and they're just, you look at them and you're like, God damn, they got this shit figured out. Like they are killing it. And you talk to them and they are just riddled with the same insecurities and fears that we all are.
Yeah.
And if you can and it's like, oh shit, you know what? None of us have this figured out. Like we are all just fumbling our way through this. And that's been the amazing part
common
of it.
theme.
Yeah.
I think something you said a few minutes ago is it's age. Age brings wisdom of understanding of the rest of us because we're so hyper focused on us in the beginning that we have to succeed and do and feed and provide that we don't get a chance to start to look at others. And by doing and talking to these power, individuals that you've found that have that, they're people too.
Yeah.
And they went through that same phase are they still going through it, or they still haven't even acknowledged that there's others out there. So you just don't know. But it is a human quality that we all are capable of being just humans. And in the end, you strip away those facades that we built of everybody. They still go to the washroom. They still eat. They still sleep. Like, to think that every single one of us on this planet are unconscious for a block of time every single day. We're basically dead. Our brain's dead. And then we wake up and we're back here again. Well, there has to be a commonality.
Yeah.
And if you can find that and discuss it and they can open up to you, then you get their insight. And it's usually other things that made them what they became or where they ended up. And it could be serendipity, it could be intelligence, it could be opportunity. Like, there's a lot of combinations of those things that make people great, and we put them on pedestals, and then when they're far away, they're like this iconic thing, and then you get to converse, and they're just humans, which must keep you going. How many episodes in are you now?
Yeah, about 50.
50.
Yeah.
So you've had that opportunity to engage and delve into the minds of 50 other people that in the end were people. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you said it really well. And yeah, none of us are getting out of this alive. And I guess it is an age thing, because I've thought about that a lot, right? It's like, it seems like everybody I talk to that's around my age is looking at down the barrel of the last 5 or 10 years and be like, I mean, to anybody too on LinkedIn, like, look at me, I'm a VP, I've made good money, I got a cottage, and it's just like,
who cares?
Am I just supposed to run out the clock and play golf for the next 20 years? Like, I'm not ready for that. And that resonates with me, because I just feel like I'm getting started. Like, I feel like all this shit that I've been through has just prepared me for going out with a frickin' bang over the next 10 or 15 years. And I'm still trying to figure that out. And I think a lot of people are.
I always look at the analogy of the flower. At the beginning of the season in the spring, it's green growth and all of these things. And then throughout the summer, it goes through the hardships, the sun, the droughts, then the watering and the great times. Then you get near the end of the season. That's when the flower is the brightest. The flower is the biggest, the brightest, the most gorgeous, or the tomato plant is producing the best vegetables. It's not at the beginning. It's not at the middle. It's at the end. And so I've looked at my own, and it when your dad passed away when you were fairly young, mine just recently passed away, and it's that whole mortality thing really comes into view, and you're going, I've been trying to build these businesses, trying to do all these things. I've been quite frankly, trying to get money for my family so we could survive and I could give my kids a better life. But now that they're out with their better lives, I finally get a chance to look at me and say, what is, as you say, what are the last 10 years? And maybe it could be, if it could be like Barry Daniels on our last episode or 2 episodes ago when this comes out.
There's like 25 years left.
He's 85 years old now, and he's still going strong.
Goes,
what am I going to do next? I'm just starting to think that maybe I'm slowing down. But I'm kind of singing this jazz. Oh, man, dude, keep going.
Just keep moving.
Just keep moving, keep having fun. And it's a great perspective on life. And so I don't know who our audience is or where it's going to grow. I hope the young kids listen.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It's going to be the old people.
Although my daughter is listening now. They're going to ask about
token ring. And
my daughter's listening now because you have a duck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's very happy.
I've been ducked.
Ducked.
It's ducking. There's a Jeep thing.
He's got a 61.
So what is that deal with all the ducks?
So I didn't know. It's called ducking, and some lady who's not alive anymore, if I got the story right, started it. And then when you see someone that has a cool Jeep, you give them a duck. And then it became a thing, and now you look around at Jeeps, and they all have little ducks in the windshield.
Okay.
And so that's what it's all about. It's another appreciation of another fellow Jeeper.
It's part of the community.
That and you have to wave, too.
It's a Jeep thing.
It's a Jeep thing,
for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
And I have a 64-year-old Jeep.
Okay,
and it sat in the backyard for 23 years until finally in many backyards, but... one of those things that when the FML moment happens in your life, for me, it was the trifecta. I lost my mother, my father, and my wife in a matter of a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And so you find the depths of solitude and understanding of strip it all back to who are you and what do you want to be and who are you going to be for the rest of your life. And you can end life. I mean, at 60, it's like most people are like, cash in, I'm done. but I'm not done. I woke up, from all of that in terms of the FML moment and said, got to rebuild, got to do, and got to be who I really want to be and stop thinking about anybody else but myself. I mean, I have a child that obviously you bear for, but other than that, it's what's best for him and then what's best for yourself.
Yeah.
And you start to see many things, good, bad, ugly, but then you start making decisions. And when these guys approach me about this, it's a different type of loss and a different type of FML moment, if you want to call it that. But nonetheless, you have to persevere and you have to look to the other side. And I look at it as now I've completed 2 chapters of the book and I've got 1 more. So what did I do? Yeah. I went and bought a coffee farm at this age because that's the next venture. Like, I have to stick around for my son, and then we go live in South America and grow coffee. And that's really, treat a cup of this whole process. And what I did find was, I said earlier, is you find that moment. I knew I would be in coffee for the rest of my life. It was the only thing that I was good at and that I knew I was good at. And it involves every other skill that every other business has, but the passion that lies underneath is what drives it. And it's for no purpose, and it's not monetary, it's not financial. I was never after the money. And so it's about the fulfillment of what I do, and maybe the legacy to an extent, but not so much. It's really just you find that magical place where you want to be every day.
Yeah.
And for me, it became coffee. And then there's different stages. So it's the cafe, it's the production, now it's the growth. And so it's a weird thing. I'm going to the farthest place on earth, into the countryside where there's lots of water, sun, and an average temperature. And that's the way I want to see the chapter end, and not in a nursing home or not falling in the ice here in Canada and, and going, oh my God, you see your parents go.
But don't you consider this like the journey to happiness?
Yes, absolutely.
Like this is like we're all trying to figure out where our happy points are. And we've had so many, we've had a number of guests on here that range in ages. We had Emily, who at 22, at a young age, she hit the big FML.
Yeah.
And now she's doing what she wants to do. And she's found, and she's extremely happy. You can tell she's extremely happy.
But it's teaching people that there is an opportunity. There's a door to open after that moment. So you have to.
You have to take.
You can't ignore it. You can't forget about it, and you can't throw it away. That moment happened, and you have to take that with you through the door. And then you have. But some people, Bill. Some people. They just stop there.
Well, of course,
because they're afraid to open that door that it might be
Yeah.
worse than what they've been through.
Yeah.
And guess what? It usually, when you've hit rock bottom, there is a point where you open a door that it goes up. And so you have to understand that, and you have to be told by people like us that have been through those, lows that there is a way out. And that way out, once you take the first step, the second one's easier.
Yeah.
So it's all about, don't be afraid to take that step and do something.
I think that's why we tell our stories.
Your core.
Yeah.
That's something that will work for you. And then all of a sudden you open and you see.
I was going to say, in keeping with the flower analogy, when you're in that autumn time of the flowers, that's also when the seeds happen.
Yep.
Right.
And you get to pass on what you know. And I think when you converse with people that are older, they're more willing to share the information about things that have worked for them, because I think when you're young and you've got your $1,000 suit on, you're really keeping things pretty close to your chest.
You have to, or you feel you have to.
You feel you have to.
Yeah.
Yes, because if I give them the secret to my success, they'll have that same success.
Yep. Yes.
And you don't want to do that. And that's where collaboration is so difficult, because you have to be able to communicate that the success can be for all if you shared the reasons for getting there. It's just about taking it, not about knowing it or knowing what it is. You know what I mean? So that transference, I think, is important.
I think there's a big mentality among people that they don't understand that when the people around you are thriving, you also thrive.
Right, the tide that raises all ships, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always loved that. If people around me are doing well, then I will be doing well. Because how could you live with yourself if you're, the king of the castle and people around you are are suffering, and you have a means to.
I don't know. We'll interview Elon next week. And
Well, this is the problem.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they live in a world where money is the only important thing.
Sure, but I mean, he still goes to the bathroom and still eats, right? So there's got to be a piece of him that is still the human being, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But
Now,
I do love that.
Zuckerberg, maybe not.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's amazing that you found coffee, that's your thing. I still don't, I think a lot of people still haven't found their thing. And yeah, I also agree that, at least for me, I don't think I was willing to be vulnerable and talk about my failures when I was young, because that felt like weakness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I had known
you
what
were told
vulnerability was.
how to make a resume.
Did you play sports too?
No, not really.
No?
No. But I think, I also think this idea of trying to find your purpose can be paralyzing. So I just try to encourage people, just keep exploring, like keep asking questions. Maybe you never find it. It's not about you're lucky you found coffee. Most people will never find it, but it's much worse to sit still and just give up on finding it.
Right.
Than it is to just keep searching. You're going to find a million interesting, cool things along the way.
Well, and to me, coffee was that, because it's everything about it is different. There's no, it's a weird topic because it's not static. Every day it's different. The beans are different. The growth is different. The flavor is different. We all interpret it different. So it's the fact that it's not stable is what I found that was exciting.
But let's go back, and you've told this story before about when you found coffee, because you saw this ad.
Well, it was a combination of things, and I drank coffee. I always was addicted to it without loving it, and then the company ended, got let go. Went to Colombia. A friend of mine showed me his coffee operation. I was like, wow, that's really cool, but no idea. And then I came back, and the next thing I see in the paper was that the Kitchener Market was looking for a coffee shop, an independent coffee shop. And I was like, I could probably do that. I grew up in the restaurant business, so I knew how to service customers. So I knew the operations part of it. I just didn't know anything about coffee. And then I was like, wow, I think. And then you start.
But we talked about this earlier, is that you got out. Yes. You didn't stay in the house.
Oh, no.
You went out and you visited someone in Colombia.
Yeah.
And then through that conversation, things started clicking.
Absolutely. But
you might be lucky. It's a lot of luck.
It's a lot of luck, but you also, with youth, you don't see the signs until later. So when you look back in history and you look at those moments as you graduated through the decision making to then launch yourself on your own on something, then it was you were reacting to your environment and doing what you thought was right at the moment. So there's a combination of that's why I say you as an older person, you have to just talk and communicate with people and explain to them that these moments that you feel are overwhelming and overcoming you, you can just breathe and they will pass. And tomorrow you'll wake up again. You'll reboot the cycle, and you can face it in a different way and just take one step in that direction.
There you go.
And then they go over time, and they'll get better at it. But when we're that age, we don't see it that way. It's the end of the world.
Right. And whenever it happens,
Absolutely. And you're devastated, and you don't think you can breathe. And all you need is one person that has gray hair that tells you otherwise, and they're like, ooh, maybe the old person knows. And so we do have an opportunity to influence, and we do it through this podcast. We do it hopefully through FML, the place, and people can come and converse about these things, and not in a contrived manner like we're doing here, but naturally. So, and it's a little looser for people because we're obviously all little extroverts, so we can do that in this format, and we're comfortable with it.
It's funny. We didn't start out being extroverts.
I've always been an extrovert.
As a child.
Yeah, I was clownish. I was I was a clown. I was the class clown, but I was also the smartest kid in the class. So I always got good grades, but I could always joke my way through. But it was comedic timing. I probably should have been in stand-up, honestly, because I was good at it when I was a kid, and that allowed me to not get beat up by people. I could talk to girls. I was never shy with them. I didn't have those issues, but it was never like I thought that they thought I was wonderful. It was just the comedic ability and timing to speak.
Right.
So I think for me it was that way, but it was never shy and never quiet.
It was for us. The rest of us.
I told you I was the oddball.
You are the oddball. That's why we like hanging around. So how's the podcast going now?
Yeah, well, I'm really loving it. I've sort of, I've paused only because I just want to, it's been, 50 episodes, right? So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to take a pause for a month or so. When I started, because somebody told me, and I forget what the exact stat is, but 80% of the podcasts on Spotify have less than 20 episodes. Like, everybody wants to be a podcaster.
Right.
Like I said, who doesn't want to be a podcaster? It's awesome. Turns out it's a shit ton of work. Like, you're always out there finding guests, and I've got a producer that does all the work that I don't know how to do, editing and everything. But even that. So I think it's more work than people think. It's harder than people think. And so I gave myself a year. I said I want to do this every other week, so about 26 episodes, and I'm going to commit to it for that long, and then see how it goes. And 1 year came, and I'm like, I'm loving this. It's like the best part of my job. So now we're up. It's 2 years, and I'm just like, I just want to pause to see what like I said, I just started out with a notion of just talking to interesting people. Now, after 50 episodes, has it changed? Should I evolve it to be something slightly different? I don't know. Maybe I'd take a month off and decide, nope, it's good. Let's just keep going the way it is. But it's hard to take that while I'm also out there booking guests and looking for new authors and et cetera, because I'm like, well, what if I book them for a month out and then I decide to change the podcast and then they're not going to fit anymore? So I'm just going to take a breather. But I am loving it, and I'm not going to quit. I just wish I could find a way to make some money at it, but I'm going to keep doing it until I can't afford it anymore.
Yeah. Well, we're all figuring that out. Yeah. But yeah, it is. I love this. I look forward to every Tuesday when we get together.
There's a vibration about conversation that's exciting to me, and it leaves me invigorated and my brain spinning usually when we leave here. Long format interaction takes effort. It takes to be present, to listen, to kind of weave the thoughts together. There has to be some cohesiveness to the overall picture. Those are the challenges, and not every guest is easy. It's obvious the speaking part and the cadence is easy for you, and we've had other people that is likewise have taught us things about that. But everybody has an interesting story, and it's just about you just have to listen and then find where to interact with it. And I find that for me is the clincher for now, and that's why I want to do it. So
yeah, it's a huge challenge to make it natural and enjoyable for the guest, to make them look good, but also to have.
That's why we don't have video.
Well, I want to get. I want to get good.
But also to have but be able to it's going to be organic and it's going to go into weird places. But the host's job, and there's 3 of you, so that's.
We're taking a picture now, so everybody can see how ugly this guy is.
But
you can move over if you want.
But yeah, it is. Here, let me get rid of my ugly green bottle there.
Oh, you should hold your mug.
Oh, I'm not in there. Yeah, your mug. Yeah. Oh, well.
I gotta figure out how to get my mug and my coffee home on my bike, since I didn't bring any knapsack or anything with me.
I'll give you a bag and tie it on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's exhausting. And I've had a couple of, I had a friend in the music business, and he got me an introduction to Jake Gold, who's the manager of the Tragically Hip. Was my favorite. It's kind of the sound. We all have that band that's kind of been like the soundtrack to your life.
Right.
And
is Jake Gold from Toronto?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
He was on Canadian Idol. He was a judge in Canadian Idol after he left.
I might know someone in his family. Is he ginger, by the way? Do you know him? Like, I don't know him.
I mean, I've met him. I've just interviewed him.
I met a Gold from Toronto who shipwrecked in off the coast of Colombia.
Oh, really?
And then I met him 2 years after
I
that
don't think
shipwreck.
that's Jeff.
But he's like the family, and they were well off, loaded, and he was like the rich kid that fell into the Caribbean off a boat that sank, and then floated ashore and lived with a family for a while in Colombia because he had no papers or nothing. They couldn't prove that amazing story.
Seriously?
Yes, and I met him at
Okay, you didn't get that story.
No, it's got to be it's a different
a different family. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure that would
there's
come
more
up.
than one. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh yeah, I fell off
Sidebar.
a boat.
But I
Get
was
over-
scared shitless just talking about the stress of it. You know, this guy's been interviewed by real journalists.
Right.
And when I get people that are used
yeah.
to talking to
Yeah.
real journalists, he's gonna know this is just a load of shit, and I'm just some fanboy that wanted to talk to his their favorite band's manager. But so yeah, the amount of prep that goes into it. And I pride myself in that kind of research too. But anyway, the point is,
I should try that.
But it could very easily become like this guy's had 1,000 interviews. He just wants to have a real conversation with somebody that's honest about the fact that he doesn't really know what the fuck he's doing, but he stumbled into this amazing opportunity to talk to the manager of one of his favorite bands and ask some stories that nobody's ever heard, and he freaking loved it. And I just think again. Even these people that are like larger than life, they're these big wheels. They're just ordinary people that sleep 8 hours a night and get up and trying to figure it out like the rest of us.
They have breakfast and they try to figure out what they're going to do the rest of the
when
day.
you get to sit with someone like that and talk to him, you realize, wow, you are just a person and you can actually converse.
That's the beauty of your podcast. I mean, if people are trying to aspire to things and then to listen to stories from people, authentic stories, you realize, yeah, I could be there.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the point. That's right.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I am very curious. How did music sort of fit in along your entire journey, and what are you doing? And to also tell me about your telly.
Oh.
Steve's a music guy. I don't know.
I really wish I had a great telly story. I was in Hamilton. I was in a pawn shop, and I think I traded in my Squire Strat for the telly because I'm a massive Keith Richards fan. And I've never seen Keith Richards play a Strat, so I was like, yeah, I don't. Now I'm also a Mark Knopfler fan and Eric Clapton fan, so I'm lots of great Strat players in my life. But I've just always been a Keith Richards guy, and so I got like pretty much the identical guitar that he's played forever. So there's nothing special about it, but it's just always. I bought it. God, when was I in? Like I was probably 1989. I bought it. I've torn it out and replaced the guts and the preamp and the pickups and then got an old PV2 amp, and I just freaking love it. So it's music is coming around. It's kind of ebbed and flowed in my life, and it's become a bigger part. I'm really interested in getting into songwriting for the first time, which I've never been able to do, and I'm like, it can't be that hard. But it's been a creative process for me to just get ideas out of my head and the kinds of things you're talking about, which is probably what drew me to this idea of music and founders, is that there's just so much untapped creativity in there. And right now I'm starting to write for the first time in my life. So that's how I'm getting it out. But I'm like, I can combine that and be in around creative people, throw some musicians in the mix and throw some guitars and some coaches around. That's a place I'd love to hang out.
Yeah, this is what we want to build.
Exactly what we're.
And
Okay, we got another one.
Just sign here.
Yeah.
Do you perform or just
I
at
do
home?
like a couple open mic nights.
Nice.
But yeah, just around the campfire. I don't know if you call that performing.
Sure.
Yeah.
It just your audience is different. But
Yeah.
If you play genuine, it doesn't matter where you
Yeah.
play. I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not the musician. That's why I have a Jeep, because I don't know anything about instruments. But I do like mechanics, and it's the same love of that
Creativity
thing. Yeah.
and building something.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Well, and
Experiencing
and
something.
and understanding it for every nut and bolt. With the guitar, you take it apart. Now you know why it makes the sound
Yeah.
it does. So you appreciate the value of that thing more when you understand it better.
Yeah, just like us appreciating Bob, because now we understand you better.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
Not bad, eh? Yeah, because Steve says, we got it. Time's almost up.
Yeah.
I hope the podcast keeps growing, and I'm going to listen in, and I'm interested, and I love people that converse, and so all the power, and hopefully we can continue down that path. I mean, you're one of the guys ahead of us forging that space. So hopefully we can continue to do so.
So how can people get in touch with you? I know Growth Mixtape, you can find that podcast, but how else would, you've talked about some things that are going to be very important to hopefully some of our listeners.
Yeah.
That could be very, very helpful to them, and they might want to reach out to you.
I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So you can just find me there. bobmathers.ca is my website where you can learn about my speaking and the different things that I coach people around. I'm starting to toy with Instagram, but it's a weird, confusing place. And
you're so old.
Try Snapchat.
That one's dead now. Sorry.
No, my kid's there.
Are they still there?
Absolutely. And it's a whole new way of using it, and it's totally confusing to me. And
I know. Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Bob. I appreciate it. Great insights, and we'll be connecting a lot more.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot. That was fun.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Introducing Eco Coffee's Spotted Frog Blend, where bold leaps meet smooth landings. Why choose between light and dark when you can have the best of both? Our 50-50 blend combines the bright, fruity notes of a medium roast with the rich, velvety depth of a dark roast. It's balanced, it's bold, it's ready to jumpstart your day. With a body length of about 20 centimeters, bullfrogs are the largest frogs in North America, as well as the champion jumpers. Kind of like this coffee, big flavor, high performance, and a smooth finish every time. Spotted Frog Coffee Blend. Take the leap.